Hi, everybody. So, we're going to wrap up this unit with the lecture for World War II. Now, I know there's been a lot crammed into one single unit between both world wars, the Depression, totalitarian government. So, I'm going to try to keep this lecture moderately short. Probably won't work because, at this point you realize I talk far too much. But we're going to focus mainly on the causes and effects of World War II. Um, we'll try to avoid all of the detail and the battle history and all of that of the war because it's not particularly important to what you guys are going to be tested on, but it is part of it, so it needs to be included. So, in terms of the supplemental viewing here, World War II, especially in the United States, is the most well documented event in human history. Thanks to the available technology at the time in terms of video recording and photography and radio broadcasting kind of reaching its peak. um, World War II is the most filmed, it's the most documented, it's the most reported on, it's the most analyzed event, especially of the 20th century. So there's a ginormous amount of information out there. I tried to come up with some links to some supplemental viewing that kind of cover all the bases in terms of what is important to what we're going to look at for this unit. So, Crash Course 38 and the World War II from space. If you are interested in the actual war itself, the logistics, the fighting, the ins and outs, the battles, etc., those two links are probably going to be for you. If you're more interested in looking at the causes of World War II, then Crash Course 220 is going to be good, as well as the link where of the samurai and the swastika. That one kind of explores common features of both Nazi German culture as well as militaristic Japanese culture. Um, does a decent job linking the two and talking about how the cultural practices of both sides kind of made them natural allies in this war. Some of the other stuff deals with more of the genocide and the atrocities of the war. The One Day in Auschwitz documentary. Um, Only watch that if you're feeling pretty brave because it is incredibly heartfelt and depressing, and you will feel it by the end. The other two links deal with the atrocities of the Japanese in China, and then the Germans through the final solution, and their experimenting with different methods of destroying the Jewish and the undesirable population in Germany and Eastern Europe. So there's a lot of heavy stuff there. So again, only watch if you're really feeling up to it. So let's start before the beginning of the war. Let's look at the causes of World War II. And they are many. So if you watch Crash Course 220, John Green makes a pretty good argument that World War II is just like any other war, that it is a war for land, it is a war for resources, it is a war for economic dominance. And it certainly is that. But there are other aspects of World War II that cannot be ignored that push the war in a more brutal and a more barbaric direction. Now, in agreement with John Green, like most other wars, World War II is fought over land and resources. The Nazis fight for the concept of Lebensraum, or living space, for the German people. The Japanese are fighting for their ideals of a new Asian order, this kind of all Asian empire with Japan at the head, where they would be able to expel Westerners and Western influence and instead Japanese culture and the Japanese way of life would become dominant. So the other parties involved in World War II are, for the most part, fighting in response to the aggression of the Germans, the Japanese, and the Italians. Now, here's the thing, and this is going to be kind of a theme and a topic all the way through. There's a lot of hypocrisy and there's a lot of finger pointing in World War II. There's a lot of, you know, depicting this as the forces of good versus the forces of evil. And to be honest, no side is good and no side is truly evil. That's not to say that the Nazis and the Japanese, with the way that they brutalize their conquered populations, are good in any way, shape, or form. But it's more to point out that even though the Allies won, their hands are not without blood on them as well, right? Now, besides just a war for land and resources, World War II has massive cultural and racial overtones, meaning that this is also a war of extermination. The major combatants in the war, in a lot of ways, see World War II as an opportunity to exterminate their enemies, to rid the world of nationalities or religions or ethnicities that they see as inferior. And a lot of this has its roots going back to what we talked about during imperialism. A lot of that 18th century pseudoscience, things like phrenology, eugenics is another popular topic among the Nazis and their ideology, um, and racism and kind of ethnic discrimination is also a major factor in Japan's aggression and expansion in Asia as well. I mean, you can see the evidence of these cultural and racial overtones in the brutality of the war, especially with the German invasion of the Soviet Union and then the reprisals of the Red Army when they invade Germany. You can also see it in Asia. The Japanese invasion of China showed a very clear and very distinct ethnic hatred of the Chinese. Now, this could be, again, built up over centuries, even because of China's dominance in Asia, going, all the way back to the classical era. But there is, no mistaking that a lot of the death and destruction of World War II is motivated not only by the desire for land, but also for a desire to exterminate and wipe out one's competitors and one's perceived enemies, right? Now, one of the other causes of World War II, which also contributes to the idea of this war of extermination, is World War II is an ideological war as well. And the three major ideologies that are at war with each other are, on the side of the Axis powers, you have the ideology of fascism, right? This is a ideology of national and ethnic superiority and pride, blended with a lot of aggressive militarism. The idea that nations prosper and nations succeed through war, that the only way for a nation to be truly great is to dominate its enemies and force their submission. On the side of the Allies, you actually have two competing ideologies. You have the communist ideology under the Soviet Union, and you also have the Western enlightened democratic capitalist ideology of Great Britain and France and the United States. So what you have here is essentially a war to determine the political future of the West and potentially even the world. You know, is Western democratic society going to survive World War II, or will fascism exterminate what it sees as its weaker, failed enemies in the West? At the same time, fascism also wants to exterminate communism, right? Communism and fascism are two not only competing ideologies, but they're two ideologies that can't really simultaneously coexist with one another. The driving force behind the socialist and communist ideology is the elimination of, class, social class based on wealth, right? And so communism seeks to cross national boundaries, ethnic boundaries, racial boundaries, and instead unify people based on class. And that simply cannot exist with the nationalistic, militaristic ideas of fascism, with their ethnic and racial and cultural superiority, right? So throughout the war, these ideologies contribute to expanding upon the idea of total war from World War One. The Nazis see their invasion of the Soviet Union as part of exterminating a mortal enemy in communism. Not only that, but they also see it as an invasion of a racially and ethnically inferior people as well. Um, the war against the Allied powers was also seen as a war against weak, ineffective democratic governments. Again, an ideological struggle to determine the fate of the West going forward. And part of what motivated the Nazis and part of what kept them fighting for so long was the fact that they firmly believed that their way of life was superior to democratic capitalist society, and that in the end it would triumph overall. So this again has a lot of ties back to the pseudoscience and the kind of white man's burden ideology of the 18th century, where now, rather than Western enlightened democratic society being perceived as the superior dominant ideology, now it has competition with Soviet communism and German, Italian, and Japanese fascism.